Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. A perp just drove by as soon as I walked out. There it goes, right there on the county road, that little gray compact car. But the reason I walked in to start filming is because as soon as I walked outside to clean my litter boxes, as you can see here, I set up to clean some litter boxes, my birds went berserko. So when they're not making noise, the criminals are not making noise, they send radio frequencies to harass my birds, my animals, to cause them to act up. As they're doing now, there's nobody here that I can see because we know we've got criminals cloaked here on the property. But as soon as I set up to clean my litter boxes here, the criminals sent frequencies to create a noise. And of course, it's the plausible deniability. But we'll see what else was plausible deniability. Okay, so you see all these patches here? This is what the criminals did. They deliberately burnt out the grass. And it doesn't matter that I haven't had a week of rain because this has never happened here before in Jackson County, Kentucky. I have the kind of property that's wet all the time. I walked out here this morning and it was soaking wet. My boots were wet. And they have burnt out the grass knowing that we're not going to be getting rain. Yet for the plausible deniability, but this is all deliberately burnt out. Because they know I'm moving. They know I'm selling my property and it's not going to be to anybody here. So this is what they've done here. They burnt it down to the soil. And as I've mentioned before, I've got mostly rock here. And you notice how they just stopped? The birds just stopped. Because I'm talking now, and they don't like being recorded, these losers. So they burnt out all the grass here. There's absolutely no reason for it. And they did it here, even behind my house, which is, here you can see here, all burnt out, all burnt. It has nothing to do with not having rain for a week. I could not have rain for 3 weeks. I could not have rain for 3 weeks and it wouldn't look like this because this is being done deliberately to the grass to burn it out. They did the same thing all alongside this outbuilding, all around the chicken coop, which as you can see is a shaded. Even at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I still have full shade here. I never get full sun back here. I never do, which is why it's always green, it's always moist, it's always damp. But we still have trees here. Let me show you these trees. And here, this is what it looks like here on the ground. Now, mind you, we've got no sun here. No sun. They've deliberately burnt all this out. All of this. You can see here, this has nothing to do with not having rain. If we had rain, they'd still burn it out. But check out this tree and look at the bitchcraft up here. Bitchcraft. And look at all the burnt leaves here and what they've done to the tree branches. This is from the microwaving me when the energy weapons are coming from my outer field and hitting my house here, hitting it from the county road, hitting my house. It all bounces off of these trees. They can't hit me walking around the property without getting the trees. And of course they get the trees deliberately. And look at this behind the chicken coop, what they did. All browned out. Not possible, because again, it never gets full sun here. It's always soaking wet. And this is what they did to the chicken coop. This is all recorded. I have the date and the time that this happened. I was at the top of the hill, and some boots on the ground person, either with an energy weapon or whatever, did this to a 4-year-old chicken coop. But you can see the branches here, and you can see the burnt leaves. Let me zoom in here if you can see. Yeah, because they mess with my camera here. Bitchcraft. Somebody said, oh, they're just spider mites. But we know that these witches with their energy frequencies, their radio frequencies and stuff, they can create that. They create it. And the technology is so advanced that most people can't even wrap their minds around it. Right? Look at how browned out they did this. Completely browned out. And I have to tell you, I'm living here more than 6 years. It has never browned out. And we've had weeks where it hasn't rained for 10, 12 days. And this never gets brown. Never, because it's always shade. Always shade. I usually get the moss here and everything. But no, here in Jackson County, Kentucky, we've got criminals real estate mobbing my property. They want to depreciate the value. They're creating a situation where they're causing it to flood. And they do it a little at a time. You know, their plausible deniability doesn't work. It doesn't work because I document every day. So here you go. They completely burnt it out here. They burnt it out all here. All of this is burnt out. And what they have done is they have rerouted the water. So where there is supposed to be foliage, like there's supposed to be foliage here, but they have deliberately disintegrated the foliage, created holes everywhere, exposing tree roots. Let me show you what they do. They expose tree roots. They leave their bitchcraft everywhere. I already cleaned this up yesterday. There should be, look here, there should be no branches here. Why are there branches? I cleaned it all up yesterday. And this is every day. Here's a root, tree roots, bitchcraft, a hole, another hole dug here. What they do is they dig up the tree roots and cut the tree roots. They're trying to cause a landslide here. They have rerouted the water. I have never had water come down this direction before, or that direction, and they have rerouted it. So here you see more branches. And what they do is they go around the entire perimeter of the property. Here, look. The entire perimeter. They knock branches off all the trees to encircle the property. Here, look, here's another one. It's non-stop every day. Non-stop every day. And this is just a small portion of my property. So this is what they do here in Jackson County, Kentucky, exposing the tree roots, rerouting water. They have created an artificial path here. I've never had a path here. And what they did is they disintegrated the foliage here. More bitchcraft. Here's more. More here. More here. There is no plausible deniability. We have not had any rain. We haven't had any wind. Got a little bit of a breeze. Not even enough to do anything. Here's more. I cleaned this all up yesterday. Here. And this is what they've done. Here's another one. Look. Here's another one up here. It's non-stop every frigging day. Non-stop. Because they know I'm moving. They're trying to change my destiny. I mean, I'm moving. I'm selling this place. Maybe we'll sell it to the Chinese, right? Chinese are buying up land. Maybe we'll sell it to Elon Musk. This would be an excellent place for a data center. What do you think, guys? So what they've done is, oh, here, look. I don't know what happened here. Some kind of block thing went on. I don't know what happened. I must have touched something. Oh, there we go. So here, this is what they've done. They've dug up all of this. You see, there's foliage up there. That foliage, the exact same foliage, should be all over here, but it's not here. Because they are digging up the property, rerouting it, disintegrating soil and rock. what that does is the soil and the rock and all this foliage absorb moisture and rain when it rains. So they have created an artificial path right here pointing towards my property. An artificial path here, another artificial path there that did not exist before. They're digging it up and rerouting the water on my property. That's what they're doing here in Jackson County, Kentucky. And make no mistake, the local government is well aware of what's going on here. Here's more branches, more branches. They're just everywhere. Everywhere. And this is what they've done to this tree stump. Let me show you. They like to rot things and make things look ugly because they're ugly. These are witches. Look at what they've done here. These are disgusting Freemason, Eastern Star witches. I'm picking up branches as I'm talking to you guys. I'm not going to walk all this the property here. But this is what they've done. Wherever you don't see that dense foliage is where they've altered the flow of water. They have raked exposed tree roots, burned. You can see all the dead leaves here. All the dead leaves. Covering everything. Oh, here's another branch. They marked the property. Excuse me. I got a dry throat. And I'm angry, I'm pissed. Because my beautiful property is being destroyed by these local Freemason, disgusting, infraguard, private contractors from Red Bank losers. Whoever placed me in the program could have been more than one person. I believe at least is one malignant narcissist woman who once lived in Red Bank, New Jersey. There's another woman that lived in Barnegat, who lives in Barnegat, New Jersey. And then there's another one, I'm forgetting the name of the town that she lives in. Her name is Dawn. She was envious and jealous of me, and you could see the tree roots here. Very evil woman she is. She was a lawyer. And, you know, lawyers are always in on this. So she was a lawyer. I believe she was even a public defender. And she was probably pretty good. She's a very smart woman. But she's a witch. She's absolutely a black witch. Here's more. The only reason I knew her was because of the celebrities I mentioned to you that I became involved with because I was a professional astrologer and they sought me out. And I made a connection with them. And at first I thought it was only for a few years. I look back and I'm pretty certain it was at least 6 or 7 years that I was in contact with them. Because they had introduced me, one of the guys, the musician who first contacted me because he had a newsletter and he just knew that I was an astrologer, placed me on his newsletter. I responded, we corresponded back and forth, and I don't know at what point it was, but he had a young son at the time. I think he was 11 or 12. His son used to call me aunt. He literally thought I was his aunt. And so let's see, he's 11 or 12 years old. And then his sister, I think, was a year or two older. And then he started introducing me. He introduced me to his brother, a couple of his friends, some of the other musicians who are famous, who you would know that I won't mention, their children, and they were all online because a lot of these celebrities they keep their circles kind of close, and they love astrology. And they are very selective about who they will correspond with or speak to outside of their circle, because they need to be able to trust whomever it is with their stuff. And I will never mention any of their birth data or any of that stuff ever. So, and I respect them completely. But they introduced me to this woman, Dawn, who is a cousin of one of the band members. And I met her in person. She moved to New Jersey from Connecticut, and we became, I'm going to say quick friends, but no, she wasn't a friend. We became quick acquaintances because we had very many things in common. We liked astrology, we liked going to conferences, we liked antiquing, and so we would do these things. But maybe they set her up. Maybe she was a honeypot. I don't know. I don't even have time to speculate because there's so many horrible things that happened in my life around the same time, like the feral cat cartel, which is absolutely involved in my targeting. No, make no mistake. Now, you would think that these celebrity narcissists, they have a lot of money and influence and stuff, that they may not be involved in this, but, you know, they get bored. Just the way they got bored and sought me out, and they want something new. You know, they have their friendships and acquaintances and in the industry, but, you know, they like to meet people outside of that they can trust with their stuff. And so the reason I think it was more than 6 years is because their son, he was either 11 or 12 at the time. The daughter was a year or two older. And then the relationship between all of us kind of ended after one of the concerts in New York City, and after this 11, 12-year-old was going off to college. So that's kind of a long time. At first I'm thinking, it couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years, but it was way more than that. I think it was more like 6 or 7 years that I was in contact with them. You know, time goes very fast. At the time, I was attending university, getting my daughter off to university. Then, after I finished my undergraduate, went to my graduate, completed graduate school, started getting all kinds of certifications. I was doing readings and working for this party planner. You know, I had a very, very busy life. Most people don't realize, and I do want to do a segment on before targeting. So anybody who wants to discuss what their wonderful life was like before targeting, you can email me. You can think about it, consider it. But I would like to do some testimonies on before targeting, especially for those individuals who have already offered testimony on what your targeting is like. I'm not going to point anybody out because we have one subscriber who's given multiple testimonies. Deborah, thank you so much. I believe at your first testimony, you do succinctly explain how your life was at that time. How you bought this really nice house, and then things started going downhill from there in West Virginia. I highly recommend anybody who wants to follow how they target, especially women owning real estate, to watch all the testimonies of Deborah Florian, my West Virginia horror stories, part 1 through 12 so far. I believe there'll be a part 13 as well. I'm looking forward to it. Very detailed, and it's very important because this shows you over many years how this program operates to asset strip and steal your wealth and property. And her documentation is amazing. So that's what they do here in Jackson County, Kentucky, is they're destroying my land, my property, and they're doing it it's not a little at a time anymore. Now it's a lot at a time. But if you have any ideas on who I should sell my on and off grid gorgeous farm, I've got property across the street, down past my mailbox, 3.1 acres past my mailbox. Cumulatively, it's 64.6 acres. And I will show you, because I do have to update my listing. This is what the criminals did to my water catchments. As you can see, they cut the hose. Oh yeah, it just happens all by itself, you know? It just happens all by itself. And they sliced this one twice. I had to cut it, but it makes no difference because they sliced this. And you want to know how heavy this is? It's extremely heavy. So anyway, this is how beautiful the outer fields are. And yes, you can build on these outer fields. You can plant here, you can build. You can see the creek is bone dry. And the birds are not happy because, especially the guineas, because they come down here in the morning and do a little bath. And so let me show you here. The property goes all the way down to the county road. All of that. All of that. And I'll show you here too. This is how far back it goes. I don't usually walk with you, but see, this is how they burn this. This is another area that doesn't get the sun. But this is what they're doing to the grass here. They're deliberately burning it. And you know, when the grass dies back, and here you see what they're doing here? You see how green it is up there? And then they burn it down here where all the water, this is where all the water flows to. So they burned it here. Here's Zumi. Zumi likes to follow me around. He thinks he's a dog. So, yeah, somebody got my guinea. Over here you can see all the feathers, but you can see how dry it is here. This should be as wet can be. But this is what it looks like here. I don't think I've ever taken you guys up this direction. This is how big it is, and how beautiful. I'm going to have the landscaper come back to do the extra weeding here. We've got to get around these trees because of all the losers that I hired over the summertime that didn't do the work that they were hired to do. Here's more branches. I don't know where all this stuff comes from, guys. Well, I do. The criminals come here and they use their energy weapons and they just knock branches off the trees. Like this one is probably going to fall next. So this is how big and beautiful it is. The water flows here. And again, this all has to be trimmed back. It's a big job, but let me show you. I've never taken you up here, so you can see how far back it goes. And it would be really cool to put a little cabin up here. You know why? When you've got a cabin up here, you can look down on the county road. You're back in here, nobody knows you're here. Right now I see all these branches that have fallen down that I've got to pick up. But look. More branches. Yeah, I've got to come up here and collect these branches. They're everywhere. So yeah, I've never taken you back here before. Let's continue. Let's continue. So I hope everybody's doing well. Oh my, I have a lot of down branches here. This is going to take me a couple of trips. So this is what it looks like. This is all the way in back of my house. Look how cool this is. Wouldn't this be a wonderful place to put a little shed and a picnic table? Little picnic table right back in here. Is this cool or what? This is what I love about my property. I absolutely love this. Lots of branches down here. Lots. Got too many branches I've got to pick up. But is this amazing? So quiet. And this, by the way, I'm trying to see, well, there are some black leaves here. I have to wonder about the EMFs around here. Now this is where the cutting has stopped. And then there's actually a hiking trail here. I have actually hiked in that creek when the water was low. And I was recording it a couple of years ago, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a total downpour, and I was dripping, soaking wet. But yes, I can see all these branches here that need to be picked up. I need to come up here with my little wagon. I'm sure I will be able to get all of these. But yeah, let me just show you one more time here. This is what it looks like. Very quiet back here. This is what I love about the property. I love it back here. Right? Don't you love it back here? Don't you, Zoomy? Don't you love it? I love it back here. This would be the perfect place for a little cabin and a picnic table. Yeah, and a little picnic table to watch the wildlife at night. Yeah, and we have some wildlife. We do. Right? What do we have? We've got bobcats, foxes, coyotes. Obviously, we have raccoons. We have raccoons, possum. What else do we have, Zoomy? I only have one hand here to lift all this stuff. But this is what it looks like here. It's quite lovely. And I've got to move these branches so that they can cut here. Obviously, they weren't able to cut because all these branches are stuck in here. You know, once I pick up all the branches and they cut, it looks so big. It's so big. So beautiful. And I'm going to put it out there because my house is not on the MLS anymore. I've had no luck. They bribe real estate agents, threaten them, etc. Anybody who finds me a buyer that results in a sale of this property, I will pay you a commission. I will pay you cash. So you can see here, it's a total of 64.6 acres. There's hunting, there's water, foraging, and timber. If you are not a targeted person, this is the perfect place to live when the SHIT hits the fan. If you want to be off the grid, like you want to have a place here off the grid, you want to be on the grid or disconnect from the grid, like in my house or the buildings that I have hooked up to electricity. The Cat's building does not have running water, nor does the shed. My house has running water, but it rains so much here that you can collect, if you buy the totes, I don't know how many, I don't know if it's 500 gallons, you buy the totes, fill up these totes, you will never have to pay the water company by collecting your water here. I know, there are herbs to pick. There are herbs. There's wood for a wood stove. I've chopped a bunch of wood over there. Very old over there. I think that wood's about 3 years old at this point. Bless you. Bless you. And you can see the buildings back there. That's where my house is. And so here, give you one last looky. And again, all of this is going to be cut. I have to come up here and pick up some of these branches so it's easier for them to cut. But 64.6 acres. I will have an advertisement. I will post it in the post section. And I'm walking back here, and I'm actually started getting targeted right this minute. Right here. It just started. Right here. You can contact me via email, alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. And I would not place the subject in the heading, the subject heading, because my mail is intercepted. I believe that there have been multiple people that tried to contact me about this property that were turned away, denied, told something about it, because I didn't receive one phone call. Zero, not one inquiry, and not one phone call. Very bizarre. Even if it was above somebody's price point, most of the time somebody will call. You know, I'm a buyer. And I will still bookmark houses that are above what I can afford. Because I know that anything's negotiable. And you don't know what the other person's situation is. They may have a set time. Let's say maybe their house is given to them by their company. They might leave their house and the house is still sitting there. And the company's like, I just want to get this thing sold. I want to get it rented. I want to get it sold. And I have seen houses that have sold for $50,000 and $60,000 less than the original asking price. So it pays to ask. It pays to call and show interest in a property. So you can see here, this is all the garbage, the trash they throw on my property. It's endless, just endless. Oh, there goes a little criminal perp with the one headlight. But anyway, this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I will be posting a listing and advertisement. My property is already listed on land.com. Land.com. It's already listed there. I will probably be reducing the price. It's listed now for $584. I chose $584 because I believe the property is absolutely worth that and more. Because if it were divided, it would probably sell for close to $7. But I don't need the hassle of dividing up property, selling it pieces at a time. But I just want one smooth deal. And that's it. I hear you under that house. I hear you. I hear you guys under there. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off for now. This is what they've done to the grass. But fortunately, I've bought a lot more grass seed. I'll be buying some more soil. And we'll be reseeding. Here in Jackson County, Kentucky, the criminals never sleep. So that is my gorgeous property. And that's only the back end. It's only the back end. Back in there. All the way back in there, I just showed you. So I hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to sign off for now. Please remember to like, comment, share, if you're inclined to do so.